Well, hello everybody. Today is day 31 of my fast. It's the morning and I'm going to break my fast right now. I've been doing nothing but water for the last 30 days. And here I have coconut water. I'm going to break my fast with this coconut water. And 30 days of nothing but water. And I'm going to try and attempt to slowly break my fast with just liquids for a couple of days. And then get into maybe some fruit. We'll see how that goes. They say one of the most important parts of the fast is how you break it. So here we go. Let's see. Wow. After 30 days of water, now I'm doing coconut water. Wow. That is sweet. It gives you a whole new appreciation for food. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm myself. That's all I'm going to do. It's about maybe 4 or 5 ounces I just did. And there I go. Back to eating. Or at least drinking of something other than water. Hello everybody, this is Paul with the Real Life Health Show, and I did it. 30 days water fasting. I last made a video in this spot on my 12th day of water fasting, and I did not know what to expect because I was taking the fast day by day. I was sharing my experience on the 12th day of what I was going through. At the time I decided to take that video down because I did not know how long I was going to go, and while I was fasting I really didn't want to talk about what I was doing because I was waiting to see what would happen before I shared my experience. My goal wasn't to have 30 days or any amount of days. My goal was to take it day by day, and as I kept progressing I finally wanted to make it actually the 40 days. But last week I believe our Creator told me 30 days is enough. It's time to stop it. And when I was first introduced to the healthy, natural hygiene, raw food lifestyle, I knew a fellow named William Esser who had a ranch really close to here. It was a fasting retreat. And people used to go there and fast for 30 days. There's a place in Northern California where people go and fast for 30 days for all various reasons. And they do it under supervision. And I definitely recommend people have supervision if they're doing something like this. For me, I did. My friend Dr. Fred Bishey, he's 90 years old. He's fasted many, many times. And I spoke to him just about daily to discuss everything I was going through and how I was feeling. But the thing is, I felt fine. After the 5th day or so, I completely lost my appetite. And the interesting thing was, I live here in South Florida, and it's mango season right now. And I have tons of mangoes and bananas growing on the trees. And I've been waiting all year for this season. And I was able to cut these mangoes and dry them and put them in the freezer. I was able to make food for my daughters and not have any appetite at all. And so that was a pretty surprising, amazing thing. And how easy or difficult was it? From a physical standpoint, it's been very easy to fast this long. Now, I'll take it, I've been on a raw vegan diet mostly for the last 25 years or so. So that definitely, I'm sure, helped. Mentally, I believe that's the real challenge from a mental standpoint. And for me, mentally, I was in the right place because I initially started to fast, and I would fast often for 2 or 3 days. The longest water fast I've ever done was for 7 days, 2 times prior to this. And last year for 8 months I ate every other day, but the days I wasn't eating, sometimes I water fasted, sometimes I did liquids or juices. But this time I was just going to go the weekend. I literally started because I wasn't happy with, it seemed like I was getting a gut. I don't know why, but I said, let me just fast for the weekend and see what happens. And then after that, after the 3rd day, I completely lost my appetite for food. So then I started to pray about it, and I really started to think about it from a spiritual standpoint. And spiritually, I just felt like I was going to keep going, and that's what I did. So I kept going, and when I decided last week that the 30th day was going to be my last day, it started to get a little challenging. Not that I was getting my appetite back, but I was just looking forward to food. Now the real tough part comes, and that's breaking the fast. And it could be just as important, if not even more important. And most people mess up when they break the fast, to control your appetite and not overeat. And I'm probably not even going to release this video until I've broken the fast and got accustomed to eating again, so I can share that experience all in one video. But basically, well, I might release it. We'll see. But basically, I'm planning on doing it on just juice for a couple of days, maybe coconut water, and then maybe transition to blended foods and maybe small amounts of fruit, and take it from there. And I don't plan to go back to eating the way I was eating for quite a while, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of temptation around me now. It's summer and it's fruit season here. There's a lot of fruit all over the place. I just want to try not to overeat and overconsume. But 30 days water fasting, and it's something I definitely wanted to accomplish in my life at some point. And the amazing thing is, these last 2 days, throughout the whole fast, I was trying to conserve as much energy as possible. The worst symptom I had the whole fast was if I got up too fast, I would be dizzy. That's the worst symptom. I lost 30 pounds. My waist is practically no waist. It's wonderful. But my only symptom I had was if I got up too fast. I'd be a little dizzy. That was it. So I was trying to conserve as much energy as possible. So I was moving slower on purpose, trying to conserve as much energy. I usually don't take naps during the day, but I tried to take a nap every day if I could. And my sleep has been good through this whole time. My energy levels has been somewhat okay. Some days I was a little weaker or more tired. But the amazing thing is, when I decided a couple of days ago, last week, that I'm only going to go 30 days, I'm not going to go 40 days, and I'm going to stop it on Tuesday, I stopped conserving my energy. I stopped relaxing. I'm not saying this is wise, but in the last 2 or 3 days, I've kept more busy than probably ever in my life doing stuff. Today is the last day, right? And I literally spent the whole day doing yard work. And maybe not the wisest things to do, but I did. I just had a lot of energy, and I'm excited, and I got a lot of projects I need to do. But mentally, I was fine. Physically, I was fine. And I feel great now. I'm still not even hungry. I just feel it's time to break it. So, actually, right now is the 30th day, because the last meal I ate was in the evening 30 days ago. So tomorrow will be 31 days. But I'm going to have some coconuts up my tree tomorrow morning. Just a small amount of coconut water. I hope that's my plan. I'll see what happens with that. And I'm not looking for an award that I did this. I know other people that have done it. I just wanted to share my experience. And I did share my experience on the 12th day. Again, I'll put that video here as well, so you could see where I was and where I transgressed. But not much has changed since then. I've been around food. It's very tempting, because the first 2 weeks I was doing this, it seemed like everyone came to me offering me food. My neighbor brought me my favorite fruit, white sapote. One of my friends brought me a jackfruit and asked me how do I cut it, and it was perfectly ripe. She made me some raw desserts, and I just completely resisted everything. And it really was spiritual. It turned into a spiritual thing. From a spiritual standpoint, I got many prayers answered. Many prayers answered. And there's a couple of things that I really needed to pray about and pray for. and they were all answered, and our Creator is wonderful. And so I do want to encourage, though, if anyone's going to do this type of fast, that you should definitely have supervision. Uh, I mean, it's more mental than physical, and I know each person is different. I've been on a raw vegan diet for a long time, so it might have been a little easier with me. But some people think you can't survive without food for a couple of days or a week. But I'm telling you honestly, not only did I spend 8 to 10 hours today just working in a yard today, hard work, I could literally probably go and run 5 miles right now with no problem. I could do pull-ups, I could do push-ups. I feel amazing. And, you know, a lot of people commented on the way I looked because I did lose 30 pounds. I didn't tell a lot of people what I was doing. Only a small handful of people knew what I was doing. And yeah, and that's it. And you know, I just feel absolutely amazing. I'll share more about my experience. If you have any questions, put them below. If you've done a fast this long and you want to share your experience, go ahead and do so. I've always heard or read in the fasting books, and that's another thing. I read a lot of books on fasting while I was doing this. There's a man named Franklin Hall who has some great spiritual books from the 50s on fasting. I read Arnold Levitt's book, Rational Fasting, The Miracle Fast by Paul Bragg. Those are books I read in the past. But so that did help. But a lot of these books talk about distilled water, using distilled water. I did more research, and it says, come to think, distilled water isn't the best water. It actually pulls minerals from your body, so it might not be the best water. I actually did it. I have a Berkeley filter, and so I did it with water from the Berkeley filter for the most part. Sometimes somebody would give me spring water if I was out, but for the most part I did it with a Berkeley filter. I did try to stay at home as much as possible, but I still was out and about, and I took a nap every night or every evening, or most evenings, in my hammock, and really had some good naps. And I believe last couple of nights, I would lay down about 6 p.m. and I would wake up like at 9 p.m. And then I'd have trouble falling asleep at night because I took such a great nap. But then I fell asleep just fine. But this morning was great. I have a lot to do. I got a lot done, and it's just amazing. I'm glad I could say I done it. But again, I'm not trying to win a badge of honor. I know the Bible says not to let people know you're fasting. I did try to just clean up. I actually got a haircut and a beard cut or beard trim. Try to maintain a nice appearance. I didn't talk about it a lot, but I do want to share my experience if people have questions, you know, and you know, why should you fast? You know, many people have different reasons. I always said, and I say again now, I don't think we should have a number of days we're going to fast. I think it's best to take it day by day. If you say you want to fast 30 days and your body's ready to stop after 6 or 7, stop. But if you say you want to go fast 7 days, but your body's ready to keep going, keep going. And so I don't recommend necessarily numbering the days of when you're fasting. Other than being a little dizzy and some days lack of energy, you know, it was a wonderful experience. And I'm not better than anyone else. I think we all have the capability of doing something like this. It's in the mind. It's in the mind. You know, physically, I've seen very unhealthy people on the internet claim they've done long-term fast and water fast. And some people ask about dry fasting. I don't recommend dry fasting long-term, maybe for a day or two at most, but never long-term. I think water was an essential part, and drinking enough water is important. I drink a very good amount of water throughout the fast. I did an enema once or twice during this fast. Not too much. I didn't want to waste too much nerve energy, but I did that, and I found I had so much more time. It's one of the biggest revelations. I had so much more time because I wasn't working out at the gym. I wasn't making food, and I wasn't going to the bathroom for the most part. I mean, I was going to the bathroom at number 1, but not number 2. So I was saved so much time. And I have hours extra a day to get stuff done. So I found I had a lot more time in my hand, and I would use a good amount of that time praying and reading. And And yeah, I definitely think it's something people could do. As I said, I see unhealthy people do it successfully. Uh, you know, having somebody advise you is a good thing. I've seen people break it the wrong way, and that's not a good thing. You gotta really be careful the way you break it. Uh, small amounts of maybe watered down citrus juice, or some lemon water, or some. I know at the fasting retreat in Northern California, somebody broke theirs with watermelon, and I'm planning on having some coconut water tomorrow, a small amount. So yeah, you just got to be wise in what you're doing, and I'm here to share my experience. If you have questions, put them below the video. And now it's time to break the fast tomorrow. So what I'll do is here I'll make a video of taking my first sip of something other than water for the last 30 days. And it sounds like 30 days for some people that you might be like, 30 days without food, that's amazing. But 30 days doesn't really sound like a lot of days, does it? But I have learned to appreciate food a lot more, and I think temperance I'm going to practice a lot more, and that's one of the goals. So put your comments and questions below. I'll be back tomorrow, or you might just see this video all at one time, showing you all how it was to take a sip of something for the first day, and hope I don't overdo it. Have a great day and a great world life. Thank you for watching. I wanted to talk today about something I'm doing right now in my life that I've never done before. I've done a lot of fasting in my life. I've done a lot of juice fasting. I went 8 months last year with going with food every other day. And the days I wasn't going with food, sometimes I water fasted, sometimes I juice fasted, sometimes I even dry fasted. But I'm currently water fasting long term. I've done many 3-day water fasts, 2-day water fast, and many 1-day water fast. I wasn't going to make this video because the Bible says not even to let people know when you're fasting and not to talk about it. But not for prideful reasons, but for educational reasons, I thought I'd share what I'm going through, my experience right now with everyone watching, and some tips and things I'm learning. I am currently on day 12 of a water fast. I have no set date of what I'm going to go to. I'm taking it day by day, and I feel wonderful at the moment. So I just want to share my experience so far with everyone out there. As of now, I lost about 3 inches off my waist. I lost about 20 pounds. I went from about 155 to 135, and I just feel great. The first or second day of a fast is always the most difficult, in my opinion. From my knowledge so far, I haven't went longer than what I went. Prior to this, the longest fast I've ever done was 7 days. I did that 2 times on water only. I've done a 2-day dry fast a couple of times. And one of my mentors and the person that's guiding me with this is Dr. Fred Bishey, who has much experience with fasting. He's 90 years old, and he's been fasting for many years. So I decided on a Saturday, a Sabbath day, 12 days ago, to begin my fast just for the day. And then I went the weekend. And then I decided I was going to go a little bit longer. Now, it was very interesting because I know it's important to rest as much as possible, and I am resting as much as possible, using as little energy as possible when fasting. But I had promised somebody I would help them move on the second day, and it wasn't the wisest decision to do that, but that was before I even planned to fast. But I did help them move, and I felt fine, and I'm still fine right now today. So now, energy-wise, I'm expending very little energy. I completely stopped all exercise. I'm taking naps throughout the day if I happen to need one. What I find is I'm sleeping in a day and having energy at night, which is something that's interesting observation. And I'm taking a nap whenever I feel the need to. And yes, I do have the luxury of doing that. Some people say they have to work. They don't have that luxury. And my advice to people is, if you don't have the time to do a water fast, don't do a water fast. It shouldn't be when you're doing a lot of physical activity. You shouldn't be doing a water fast. So a juice fast you can do when you're working. It doesn't really matter. But water, especially longer than 3 days, I think it's very important to rest. So from a physical standpoint, maybe the 4th or 5th or 6th day, when I got up, I would feel a little bit dizzy, and I would just have to get up slower, and that took care of that problem. But other than getting up and feeling dizzy, I had no other ailments. Appetite-wise, after the 2nd day, my appetite completely went away. I have no appetite. Temptation-wise, it's not technically the best time to fast from one viewpoint, but from another viewpoint it is. One of the reasons, and there are several reasons why I began this fast, is just to work on my health. I'm also doing it for some spiritual reasons and some personal things I want answers from our Creator. But it's currently mango season here in South Florida, and I have mango trees. So temptation-wise, I have all these mangoes growing and other fruits, and I'm not eating them. But to make the temptation even more, I am cutting up the mangoes and putting them in the freezer. Some of them I give away, but a lot of them I'm cutting up and putting in the freezer. And as I'm cutting these mangoes, looking at them and smelling them, as the days go by, I have absolutely no temptation to take a bite of any of them. It's very interesting. People have been coming to my house offering me food. Somebody brought me a jackfruit one day. Another day somebody brought me a recipe. I went out somewhere and somebody had food. And I don't think at this time people are offering me food more than ever before. I just think now realizing how generous people are with food and how food is so much in my life and such a part of my life that now that I'm paying more attention to it. But temptation-wise, so far, I've been fine. Physically, so far, I've been fine. Dr. Bishi says there's a very good chance at some point I'll hit a healing crisis, as they call it, where I might not feel fine for a day or so, or maybe even longer. And I'm training myself to welcome that and not to get worried or scared. I told Dr. Fred Bishi I'm not going to do anything in terms of breaking the fast or continuing the fast or anything without consulting with him on a regular basis. I think it's important when somebody's a long fast to do that, to consult with somebody that has experience in this. All I'm doing is drinking water and using as very little energy as possible. I'm trying to get as much sleep as possible. And I am working. It's mental work. I'm not going over the board trying to figure out algebra or anything. I'm just doing basic work stuff. And I went for a nice walk. I'm getting a little bit of sun and just taking it easy. And again, taking it day by day, not putting a number on how long I'm going to go and not putting that pressure on myself. There's few observations that I've come to so far. One of them is food, realizing how many people's lives are around food. And the times I did the 7-day water fast, I had the same observation. It's like food has become such a part of so many people's lives. And I wouldn't necessarily overeating, but continual eating. Eating and eating and eating and eating over and over and over again. And one of my favorite Bible verses that always sticks out to me is when it says, and Job says, I esteem the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. Meaning, his words are more important than my life. And I don't feel I'm putting my life on the line at this moment, but I feel we don't understand the relationship. Most people don't understand the relationship between food and health. And I think people do way more food than they need to do. It's a stimulation. And I believe just like alcohol and drugs meet a person's need to help them cover up something or to fulfill a need that they might be missing in their life, I think food is often, not always, but often used under that same pretense. People are eating to fill a void in their life. And so I'm just learning to just move slower in life as I'm doing this fast. Physically, I'm moving slower, and I'm embracing it. I took a nice walk last night, which I usually don't do. And I mean, if I had to use one word to describe this fast so far on every level, physically, spiritually, mentally, it would be gentle. Everything's been gentle in my life to this point. Uh, and I'm thankful for that. I don't think it's good to do a fast when you got a lot of stress going on in your life. Maybe it is, but that's just my observation. Another thing I'm learning is there's a lot of things besides food that create stress in our lives that we unnecessarily involve ourselves in. And I remember I asked somebody once about stress, and he said, this was an old man that survived the Holocaust. He said, stress is good, it keeps me busy. Well, I guess if you have nothing to do and you need something to do and you want to be busy, but as far as I know, stress doesn't add to your life, or it just adds to aging, and it's not the ideal thing. So I want to reduce the stress as much as possible. So one of the major observations I've learned so far is to avoid stressful people. And that basically means people that are not adding blessings to your life, or are blessings to your life, or helping you in life, and people that are bringing you down, people that are complicating your life, pretty much drama. You don't need them in your life, and your life is going to be much better without drama in your life. So you don't need a drama queen or a drama king in your life. You don't need it. And I'm seeing that more clearly, that it's just taking unnecessary energy from people's lives when they have stress in their life that they don't need. What else am I getting? I'm definitely doing my best to remember and to keep in prayer and to try to listen more. I've done a lot of research, and I hear the deeper you go into a fast, the more you'll hear from our Creator, the more you'll get revelations, and the more your body will physically heal. So I embrace that each day as each day goes. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm praying and very thankful for everything. And I'm just seeing how the day goes. But as for now, absolutely no temptation of food. A lot of times I would eat in general before the fast. And then sometimes it would be nighttime, and I don't like to eat late at night. And sometimes I'd be a little hungry at night. And then I look at my clock, and it'd be like 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I should have eaten earlier, but I don't want to eat this late. So I'll go through the night with a little hunger and not eating. And to a degree, that's how I feel. I always feel better in the morning when I do that. And I have good energy. I know some of you might find it hard to believe that I could have put no food in my body, just water for 12 days and have energy. But I do. Now, as for my weight, I'm not really concerned because I know the benefits that are going on in my life, in my body right now. With my weight, as of now, I'm nowhere near my lowest weight that I've ever been. But for me, it's a psychological thing, because when I was younger, I got diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease. And I went from 150 pounds to 120 pounds. And everyone told me how sickly I looked and how bad I looked at 120 pounds. And they told me I just absolutely looked sick and terrible and bad and so on. Well, now as I approach that weight, or I'm getting closer to losing weight, people are telling me I look great. They say they see it in my eyes, the vibrancy, my skin, and everything else. So I think there's a difference between being sickly underweight and being healthy underweight. And that's an observation I made. I still have some fat around my gut that I have to lose, so I haven't reached that point yet where I'm so skinny where I've been able to experience people's reaction to me at that point, but I'm mentally and emotionally preparing myself for that, just because of the experience I went through when I was younger and I had all those issues with inflammatory bowel disease and looking at sickly underweight. So I'll see how that goes. It's all a learning experience for me. And if any of you that are watching have any tips or suggestions on personal long-term water fast, please post them below the video. I'm open to looking at everything. Dr. Fred Bishey told me about books from a man named Franklin Hall, who was a pastor and wrote many books on fasting in the 1950s. And he said when he was going through his fast, those were some of the only books out there at the time on fasting. So I'm reading those, and I'm gleaning a lot of wisdom from those. One of my favorite books that I read a long time ago was The Miracle of Fasting by Paul Bragg. So that's a good book to read, just to get some knowledge, but also go off intuition and so on. Now, the type of what I'm doing is, another question is what type of water I'm using. And a lot of people I see making fasting videos or who fasted, they don't really discuss this one as much. But a lot of the old-time natural hygienists recommended using distilled water only. And they would often say that that's the only water that has nothing in it, and that's true fasting. But now more research has come out to show that distilled water pulls minerals from the body. So that's not the ideal way to do it, because you could put yourself in even more danger. I would heed to that advice from my experience. I have a Berkey filter, and I'm using most of the water from the Berkeley filter. I've been out several times and I needed to get some spring water, and I did. But that's the type of water I'm using. As for how much water I'm doing, I find as the days go longer and longer, I'm using less water. In the past, I found myself in the first couple of days drinking a good amount of water. Now, instead of having even a whole cup of water, I find myself just taking a couple of ounces, and it satisfies me. So that's another observation that I've been realizing. I see some videos online about people fasting with salt. From my understanding, the first couple of days, possibly, but in the long term, you don't want to do that if you're on a water fast. Now, you can fast with it, but it's not the same as a water fast. Taking minerals during a fast, I see some people talking about fasting and taking minerals. Somebody said about fasting and taking coffee. I never recommend coffee under any situation, but taking minerals during a fast, I kind of understand the concept, but I think you're defeating the purpose. In that case, you might as well do a juice fast, in my opinion. And again, I'm not a strong advocate of long-term fasting for most people unless they have a good amount of experience in short-term fasting, meaning maybe fasting 1 day a week or 3 days here and there, and they have some experience with it, unless our Creator is calling somebody to the fast and it's truly authentic. Then who can argue with him, right? But this is where I'm at, and I just want to remember, and I need to remember to just slow down and not overdo it. I have tons of fruits on my trees, coconuts, and a whole bunch of fruit all around me. Even some fruit growing on my trees I haven't even tasted before. And I don't know, I might wake up tomorrow and decide, okay, that's it. Time to break the fast. But as for now, I'm taking it day by day, and I feel good, and I don't have plans to do that. And again, I'm not, and up to this point, most of you didn't even know I was fasting, because I'm not really boasting about that. I just wanted to come here for educational purposes and just to share my experience with you like I always do on the Real Life Health Show, to let you know where I'm at in my life right now, what I'm doing. I'm also devising or thinking about my diet after I break the fast, what I'm going to do, and also how to break the fast. I haven't gotten to that point yet and really putting too much thought into it. But again, I have Dr. Fred Bishey who's guiding me, and I know I'm going to be fine with that. But supposedly that's the biggest challenge, is when you break a fast, not to overeat. So I'm going to do my best not to overeat, and I'll keep you all updated here. All right, so that's my video for today. Put your comments and questions below. Day 12, it's currently midday right now, so I'm going strong, and we'll see how far this lasts. Until the next video, have a great day and a great real life. All right, I shared my experiences with this fast, and I'll give you an update on my recovery from my food in terms of getting back into eating. And if you have any comments or questions, just put them below the video, and thank you.